like a beauty queen from a movie scene. I said, don't mind, but what do you mean? I am the one who will dance on the floor in the round. She said, I am the one who will dance on the floor in the round. She told me her name was Billie Jean, and she caused a scene. Then every head turned with eyes that dreamed of being the one who will dance on the floor in the round. People always told me, be careful what you do, don't go around breaking young girls' hearts. And mama always told me, be careful who you love, be careful what you do, cause the lie becomes truth. Billie Jean is not my lover, she's just a girl who claims that I am the one. But the kid is not my son. She said I am the one, but the kid is not my son. 40 days and 40 nights, love's on the side. But who can stand when she's in demand? Her schemes and plans. So we dance on the floor in the round. So take my strong advice, just remember to always think twice. Told my baby we danced at 3, and she looked at me. Then showed a photo of baby crying, his eyes were like mine. Come and dance on the floor in the round. People always told me, be careful what you do, don't go around breaking young girls' hearts. She came and stood right by me, the smell of sweet perfume. This happened much too soon, she called me to the room. Billie Jean is not my lover, she's just a girl who claims that I am the one. But the kid is not my son. She said I am the one, but the kid is not my
Christmas, there is just one thing I need. I don't care about the presents everyone is singing. I can hear those sleigh bells ringing. Santa, won't you bring me the one I really need? Won't you bring my baby to me now? I don't want a lot for Christmas. I won't even ask for snow. I just want to see my baby underneath the mistletoe. I just want you for my own, more than you could know. Make my dream come true. All I want for Christmas is you. All the lights are shining brightly everywhere, and the sound of children's laughter all fills the air. Everyone is singing. I can hear those sleigh bells ringing. Santa, won't you bring me the one I really need? Bring my baby to me now. I won't ask for much this Christmas. This is all I'm asking for. I just wanna see my baby standing right outside that door. I just want him for my own, more than you could know. Make my dream come true, baby. All I want for Christmas is you. 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 All I want for Christmas is you.
Well, nice to meet you. Where have you been? Well, I could show you incredible things. Magic, madness, heaven sent. Saw you there and I thought, oh my God, look at that face. You could be my next mistake. Love's a game, one to play. One new money, suit and tie. Well, I could reach like a magazine. Ain't it funny? Rumors fly, and I know you heard about me. So hey, let's be friends. I'm dying to see how this one ends. Grab your passport and my hand. I can make it back, guys, good for a weekend. So it's gonna be forever, or it's gonna go down in flames. You can tell me when it's over. The high was worth the pain. Got a long list of ex-lovers that tell you I'm insane. 'Cause you know I love the players and you love the game. We're young and we're reckless. Well, take this way too far. It'll leave you breathless, or with a nasty scar. Got a long list of ex-lovers. They'll tell you I'm insane, but I got a blank space, baby.
Okay.
I'll write your name.
Nahida, we have an unfinished conversation from yesterday. Nanunji. Okay, great. Tina, hi, you're great. Fantastic. So the one thing you've got to pray for is that the internet survives. Vahe, Norman, if it survives, we'll have a good conversation. Solea is here with me. We're setting up. You can choose where you want. You can listen to us on Spaces. You can watch on Zoom. You can also watch on YouTube. You can do all the three. The technology is yours. It's really up to you. So you decide. But guys, it's a fantastic evening and it's great to have you, and we're going to start our conversation very shortly. So get ready. Time for us to start talking. But first of all, we do what we do best, which is, first of all, we have coffee. And this coffee is grown by me. It's dried by me. And then it's roasted at the roaster in Kololo, and then packed from there, and then I sell it to you. So it's nice to be here with you guys. So we'll start shortly. So are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to be now. Our conversation is going to start. So first, I must start by pouring Solea a fantastic. Solea is the best Robusta coffee you'll ever find anywhere. And by the way, from today, I don't know if you're a coffee drinker.
I am.
Don't drink coffee with sugar.
Okay.
I'm telling you, it's an adulteration of coffee. When you drink it with sugar. For us who farm it, we feel offended. So today's coffee is without sugar. And
Clearly.
there are no options.
It's all right. It's right. It's your show.
Okay, wonderful. So it's great to have you.
Thank you for inviting me.
And I've been telling everybody who is willing to listen to me that you're the most brilliant film mind in Kampala.
Wow. Okay.
Would you argue against that?
No.
Yeah, just take the compliment.
The others, I could also say I'm not really the best, but heck, you.
We've seen a lot of your work. I tried very hard to recruit you and I failed, which was one of my biggest failures in my previous jobs. So, but it's great to have you. I want to start with what I think is an interesting opportunity. But no, maybe let's start with what we normally do with my visitors. Have your coffee. No, relax. You have your cup.
I have to show that I enjoy it.
If you don't, I have customers watching. You must compliment, otherwise I'll throw you off the show. So let's start at the beginning, which is you film career.
Right.
Where did it all start? How did you start to get involved with film? Were you born with a camera or?
It's been very painful for my poor mother, but
Absolutely, yes.
I was born, I'm the last born in my family, and I was born to a family of storytellers, I'll say. My mother is a creative, and I believe that's where I get my creative side from. She's an artist, she's a designer.
Yes.
Yes. Interesting story. She actually designed a gomez for her mom, the gomez 2000, the one that you wear as a dress.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, so that her mom could wear it with ease, because my grandmother was a traditional Muganda woman. So my mom was very creative. It is very creative in that sense.
Yes.
I would say that my entire family are storytellers, and growing up.
Even Paul.
Yeah. Even growing. Yeah.
Paul
is one of the most. Oh, look.
Paul hardly ever talks.
The lies that we're telling each other. Wait, we're having some technical.
No, on our show there are no producers, no rules. Yeah? It's what do they call it? Not freestyling, freelancing.
Yes, freestyling.
Freestyling, yeah. Yes. One of these days I'll become a rapper.
From the region.
Yeah. Okay, now tell us the storytelling part of the family.
So storytelling, all my siblings are storytellers, and I think growing up as kids, that was the way we used to entertain ourselves. Remember, there was no cable. This is growing up in the 90s. My age is showing. UTV would only come on at 6.
At 6, if you were lucky, it would last until 10 p.m. in the night. So you had to talk to each other. That was the only entertainment left.
Yes, indeed, it was the only entertainment left.
And then some of us, the TV would break down, and you
have to fiddle around with the rabbit ears to make sure you get the right signal, and
no, you just switch it on and it's not working, and your parents are not interested in your story.
They cannot be bothered, even if you go and read your books. Yeah.
Yep.
My family were storytellers. My siblings used to entertain me, and it was almost a competition to make sure that that we told stories. Who would tell the best story?
Yes.
So when I was about, I'd say in primary 5 is when I can actually recall when my love for writing kicked in. English composition. I remember being so excited one holiday when they told us you can go and do a biography about yourself and your family.
Really?
And I was so thrilled. I still have it today, but I didn't come with it. But I had that book and I put photos in it, and I was telling the story about where I was born and how it happened, and I really went overboard. And I remember the other kids in class looking at me like, check this chick just being an over.
At which he told parliamentarians that they shouldn't think that selling a bank is like selling tomatoes and potatoes, and there was warfare the next day. Anyway, but I left TV and only came back many years later, now as an owner rather than as
as a lowly employee.
Yes, yes, yes. So the journey, so is that now your intro into film?
Yes, that was my intro into film. The beauty about being in the world of television, you actually get to know the psychology behind TV, why the news program lineup was set up the way it was. There's a wonderful lady called Pamela Mwai, who was the head of programming.
I remember her. She's from Kenya.
Yes. So she was head of programming at WBS and then later on at NTV.
Yeah.
Uganda.
Yes.
So I remember having to sit through with Pamela and just trying to figure out why is, at first, we'd have world news at about 6 o'clock till 7:30, then from 7:30 till another time there was something else, then DW TV would come on, and then after that it was entertainment. So I was always curious, like, why is
what's
the program,
the logic?
Yeah, why is the lineup like this? And she explained to me that, when you think about it, business people, as they wake up, the first thing they're going to turn on is the news. So we have to give them the highlights, for something for them to look at, international news, local news. Yeah. And then when it came down to the evening, when we're coming to 6 o'clock, the children's programming as well, I learned a lot from Jackie Senyondo, who was the head of production as well. Once again, about the psychology behind, why is a program for, let's say, 3-year-olds to 5-year-olds a specific way, and then it's different for the tweens and it's different for the teenagers.
But one thing, listening to you talking, clearly to me, you've always been curious.
Yes.
Because there are many people who can go through that and never bother.
Yeah.
But you've always been curious.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's what led you to ask all these questions.
Indeed. I think the wonderful thing about being the last born, especially if you have to fight for the remote.
At football time.
Football time, and my brothers, God, I love them, but they would torture me with World War II documentaries, and I would sit there and just be like, why are we watching this thing? You know what happened? It was World War II documentaries. It would be something about, Saving Private Ryan and Band of Brothers and having to watch football and, let's say, Formula One races. Well, I'm just like, how many times do they go around the same lap? Like, what is happening here?
Yes.
But I think the curiosity that you talk about would make me think, like, okay, so let's say with Lewis Hamilton, his team, and just seeing how quickly they change his tires and fuel the car. And I'd be curious about that, like, wow, I wonder what it takes to be part of that team. I wonder what it takes to actually, how fast can they fuel up a car? And you learn all these things. I mean, having to watch Top Gear. I mean, I know nothing about cars, but I learned because of Top Gear. And I think just having a natural curiosity, even for people, there's nothing I love more than talking to people and sharing with them and hearing their stories. My dad's father was a very gifted storyteller.
Really?
Yeah, but we would be boxing with Uganda and Runyankole. It was a whole dance, but you'd finally get to know the story.
He must have been a dramatic fellow.
He wasn't dramatic, but he was a very, very gifted speaker.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, a very gifted orator.
Yeah.
My dad has. The gift that I found myself, if I could just lead you to my film journeys, when I finally Uganda, and I'll just say this, that there's a beauty in knowing what you want, and if you can chase after it.
Can you just say that again?
There's a beauty in knowing what you want, and you can just chase after it and chasing after it.
Okay.
The thing about,
because it's very profound. You see, that's the one thing in these conversations, the moments like these powerful statements that people drop. Yeah, there you are. Well, you've just tossed out one just like that.
Like that.
So and we repeat them for the benefit of.
Yeah.
Because it's a learning session.
It is.
Yeah.
So I remember, after working at WBS, I'd worked at WBS for about 2 years, and I moved from being an intern to production assistant and then assistant producer. Space of about a year and a half. So we had these old cameras. I cannot tell you how old those cameras were, but they had. I'm not kidding. The battery was like the size. It was a brick.
I know those ones.
Right, and the tripod weighed like 5 kilograms. And then you had to go with the.
Had they been stolen from Uganda television?
They were heavy cameras.
I know those cameras.
And just the setup and the lights could even burn you. I think about these red heads But what I loved about that was that I learned to very quickly adapt to my situation. So the reason why I was able to dress in a specific way, because I knew if I'm going to be out in the field, I might have to be picking up equipment. I might have to jump over, streams and that sort of
grab
thing.
wires.
You can't be dressing up in your pencil skirt and heels. It's not going to work. But after I left WBS, because I had to focus on school, and I ended up joining a shipping company, Maersk. This was around 2004, 2005. Yeah. I joined the company, and that's when I learned a lot about the corporate culture.
Okay.
TV media is very laid back in terms of how we dress. It's very casual. It's not that serious unless you're an executive.
Yes.
Or you have to appear in front of the camera. Now, when it came
newsreader, really,
exactly. Do you remember the Links presenters?
Yes.
Who'd say coming up?
Yes.
I actually did that at WBS for 2 days, and somebody recognized me in the taxi, and she was like, "Aren't you that girl?" And I was like, "That's it. Not doing
Closed. Not doing Links again.
I can't do Links again. I'm just standing there. Coming up next is the Links at 9.
What happened to Links, by the way?
They were replaced by graphics. Graphics came in with the coming up. And then,
I used to love the Links on Mnet, actually.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
You remember the girl who became Miss South Africa or someone like that?
Candice something.
There were like 1 or 2, I think.
Yeah. They were quite good. Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
You're bringing back memories.
Okay, let's get back to it.
Let's get back to the story. So,
Yes.
while I was at Musk, I learned a lot about the corporate culture, knowing how to write emails to clients, dealing with clients. I worked in customer care, and it was a very sharp learning curve for me because for the first time in my very short career, I was actually failing at something. Like I couldn't quite wrap my mind around the culture itself and having to deal with the work, but I liked dealing with people. And I knew that I had a knack for talking to angry clients and calming them down. You know, even sometimes at that time, I think there was an influx of Chinese traders coming into the country and having, you know, the sign language sort of situation as they're trying to talk to each other. And someone's just like, they tell me my cargo is here. And you're like, it's not here, it's in Mombasa.
You never had to use a calculator to talk to a Chinese.
No. It was mainly the misunderstandings about when their cargo was supposed to arrive in Kampala. And I learned a lot about the corporate culture. And I was there for about maybe 2-3 years. Then I heard NTV Uganda was opening up.
Okay.
And the advert appeared in the papers, and I was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, I really, really want to join. So I put in my application. I applied probably about 3 times, and then I didn't get in.
Okay.
I was, you know, I thought I was being rejected. I wasn't hearing anything, and then I saw some of my colleagues had started work from there. You know, Simon Kasiate was there, Maurice Mugisha. I saw a whole bunch of people who had been at WBS were now working at NTV, and I had some serious FOMO. Like I was like, how? Why?
Why am I not there?
Why not me? I also want to be with you guys.
Something is missing.
Something is missing, and it's not right. And I remember once again that determination in me, and I was about 25 at the time, and I remember that determination, me saying, come hell or high water, I'm going to enter this company. So I was complaining about it in the staff room pantry one time, and our manager of sales, Moses,
this was at Musk.
Yes, this was at Musk. He was Kenyan. He hears me complaining, saying, gosh, I really want to be at NTV, and da-da-da. And it's like, oh, you want to be at NTV? I know Victor Ngay, the general manager at the time. He's like, we work together at in Mombasa in sales. I can get you a meeting. I was like, dude, that's all you have to do.
Quickly.
Get me a meeting, I will do the rest. I had he set up an appointment. I packed up my showreel. I still had my tapes, which is also a very important thing to remember. Document all your work and keep it with you. Never think that, well, now you have cloud saving and everything, but just make sure you have some hard copies of your work that you can show off quite easily.
I don't have any.
Oh, you do. you do. You have a couple of people who have been who have passed through your office and your hands. So those are your evidence.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah?
Yes.
So I went in for the interview. I remember I had my cute little pencil skirt on and my heels, and I was, you know, looking all
feeling sharp.
Feeling sharp. And I walked in. My appointment was for 1 o'clock. I came during my lunch break, and I'm seated there eagerly at the edge of my seat. Like, any minute now, when he opens the door, I'm going to be ready and I'm going to be prepared. And I'd rehearsed what I was going to say. 30 minutes later, Victor opens the door, looks out. He's talking to his PA, and then he looks at me and goes, "Oh, you're here." I was like, "Yeah, we have an interview, Mr. Ngay." And he was just like, "I'm so sorry, I can't see you right now. But you can talk to that lady over there, and she'll interview you." And he pointed at a lady called Charlene Samat. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So Charlene was the lady who interviewed me, and I will tell you till this day.
Yes.
I remember. I have the gift of gab. Thank God for my
Well, they're good genes.
They're good genes. So
pedigree.
I can talk my way out of situations sometimes. But there was a moment when I was talking to Charlene, and she was asking me questions about production. And I remember it was an open office. The rest of the production team was seated behind me. I was seated at her desk. And she threw me a question, and I remember I was just about to BS my way through it. And I think it was the voice of God that said, don't. Whatever you're thinking of, don't do it. Don't try to lie your way through this. Don't try to bluff.
Wing it.
Don't try and wing it. Just tell the truth. And I remember I told her, I have absolutely no idea. And that's when she, in a way, she dismissed me. I just said, okay. In her mind, she was just like, okay, I think you really don't know what you know about, you claim to know about production, TV production. So it's been years since you were in TV anyway. And I remember that moment once again, that feeling in me saying, I have to be here. And I told her, you know what? Hire me for 1 month. You don't have to pay me.
So this is your dream, and you're chasing it.
I'm chasing after it. I was like, I'm not leaving.
You're done with being in a shipping company.
No. I was like,
End of story.
I met some fantastic people there, some of my best friends there, but I was just like, I have to get this job. And I told her, just take me on for 1 month. You don't have to pay me.
Yeah.
And if you're not satisfied by the end of 1 month, feel free to show me that I will not cause you any problems. And she took a while looking at me, a couple of seconds, and just said, I'll think about it.
Okay.
And I left thinking, I haven't got that job. And I went just feeling like, okay, back to documentation and bills of lading and,
emails, cargo, that's Chinese, sign language.
It's all good. So it's all good.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
I'll be fine. And then I think a day later, I got the call that I had the job.
Wow.
I have never left a job so fast. When they asked me, can you hand in your notice? I was like, yes, I can. I was trying to negotiate. I was like, what do I need? Do I have leave days? Can I negotiate out? And my boss let me go so fast. I was a bit hurt. I was like, wait, I know I'm leaving.
But you wanted to leave quickly.
Yeah, but
the boss was saying, no, actually, leave, go now.
I was like, wait a minute.
Was I that bad?
Was it that bad? Like, put up a little bit of a fight and tell me, so that I know you can stay. It was like, no, wish you the best of luck. We'll be watching your journey, and off I went to NTV. So I was there for 4 years. And I remember him walking into a situation when it was quite tense. People were very angry, and there were close to maybe 100 angry employees in the newsroom who were upset with so many different things. But I remember him coming into the room and being very, very calm. And it was now a switch where I was seeing leadership from the top being operating in a different way. I thought he was not getting into a shouting match with us. But I remember we wanted salary increments, we wanted better food, we wanted transport, we wanted, trips around the world. We wanted
and you want to be on air.
Yeah, we wanted to be on air essentially. And I remember he was able to calm the situation down by just resolving the food situation. And we were all happy after that. We're like, yeah, guys, he's a good guy. But I remember just seeing him handle crisis management, and I was quite impressed once in Kenya. So while we were working at NTV, there was a young man called Martin Kinto who came in as an intern, was working with me and some other producers. And at the time, Martin, I think, had come in from Malaysia, and he had just finished his degree in TV production and film. And his internship comes to an end, and then he tells me, hey, by the way, Soleil, I'm thinking of setting up my own production company with my brother. We're going to do this, the two of us. And Martin at the time was like 26. I remember thinking, there is no way I'm going to leave work to work for a 26-year-old. I was just like, oh, that's good, that's really good. And then he said, I just asked him once again, voice of God, just ask who his brother is. And I said, so who's your brother? He said, Conrad Nkutu. I said, you should have started with that, like lead with that, and then, I would say yes to apply to the job.
Okay.
At the time, it was the time to move. I'd been at NTV for 4 years. I was itching for a challenge, and I wanted to move up. But at the time, I felt that I was not going to get that opportunity at NTV. There was no way I was going to be made head of department at the time.
Yes.
So I just thought, okay, it's now time to move. So then, it's been years, people, I'm old.
No,
two young men.
You started working when you were young.
I was too young. Thank you, Robert. I was a So 2 young men came up with the idea of the hostel, and at the time it was centered around these 2 guys and their life. Martin actually is the one who came across it, and he said, I think this is a good idea. And I took a look at it, and I tell you, the thing that I always a good idea is that I get goosebumps. So I sort of felt that tingle, and I was just like, this is it.
That's the thing.
This is the story.
It gets you. I don't know how to explain it to anybody who does. Somebody described an elephant. Said you know it when you see it. Yes. So you know
exactly.
So you know a powerful idea, the way your body reacts.
Exactly. And the minute, if you ever are thinking like, how do I know if I have a good idea? How do I ever know it's a good idea?
Yeah.
When you tell that story to somebody, and if you can tell it in less than 3 lines, the hostel. Okay, what's it about? It's about these university students, boys and girls, living together in a hostel, come from different walks of life, and all the drama and chaos that they go through. Their love lives, relationship with their parents, all of that, and school. Immediately, whether someone was above the target group that we had picked, which was 18 to 24, there were those who had left university, who actually found appeal in it, because it was very reminiscent of their days.
Yes.
And there are those who were younger, who were coming into university, who were curious to see what is life going to be like at university.
There were those middle-aged men and
Those are your words, you're not saying anything. So yeah, the hostel had its the beauty about the hostel. Once again, Conrad being the crazy person that he is, but I remember him recommending a book that was called The Blue Ocean Strategy.
Yes.
Still haven't read it.
He's a very smart fellow, by the way, Conrad. He is. You know, I've known him for what? Goodness. I first met him. Now you're going to know my well. There's no secret about my age. 1982. Just you probably were born then or not yet, but 1982.
Similarities.
Yes. Same journey. Same journey.
So we ended up. I remember Conrad said, "Find me like an idea that makes money," and then he said,
"Yeah."
So I looked at him and I said, "There's no way it can be a daily show." Like, my goodness, Conrad, are you mad? It's never been done before.
Yes.
Said, I want something like Days of Our Lives and all my children and neighbors. And I'm like, do you see where we are? Like, we are not set up this is Uganda. We're not set up for this, you know. And granted, there had been other productions, Kachipechi, that's like Matu, that had been there before, and they did an amazing job. But he was asking for a daily show. And I remember the time thinking, daily show, how to go about it, how do we go about it? What I loved about this is when you're thrown a challenge where you have absolutely no idea, don't reject it. Just take it on. See what you can do, right?
You're dropping these profound statements. I wish you could give me some notice that say, I'm about to say something profound.
It's coming. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Another one.
Just say that again. That when you get an idea that...
The same way. So when you get an idea, if you're given an opportunity or a challenge, even if you don't know how to do it, just go ahead and do it. And do it without... Don't be scared to try and fail. Okay. And I know that's scary because even now more than ever, you know, this world of social media, if you backfire, it's very public and it's there. It's constantly there. People will always be quick to remind you, on this day you failed. You remember you on this day.
Well, we always bring up Cheptegei's moment in 2017 when he collapsed in Kololo at the World Championships and was a total disaster. And now today, there you are. Yeah. If he had given up then,
I know. That's the thing. It's
So the point for me about because I really wanted to understand the logic behind you getting into the hostel, and of course you went on to do many other things. And that's when I want to ask and find out from you, what is it that makes a compelling visual story? And it was really, really, so how do you visually, I mean, you're a person who, you said, you know, you can talk, so listening, we're a very oral society. Yeah. So listening is, you can,
it's key, yeah.
But how do you make a compelling visual story? And I'll tell you why I'm asking that question.
Please, are you going to tell me now?
No, after. You first answer that one.
I hope I can. Okay. In regards to Hostel, I would say what made it a compelling story was the fact that it appealed to me. And I thought, if I can talk to somebody about this and they can buy it, they can buy into the idea, and I think it's a good one. So when we were able to rework it, we reworked the idea, showed it to Conrad. He plays devil's advocate so well, where he's just poking holes in things like, you know, this won't make sense, tell me how this would work. And being able to refine it, and then also realizing that you have to bring people who are much smarter than you, people who are much more knowledgeable than you. Yeah. When it comes to creating really good concepts and projects. At the time, the shows that I really, really were into was Gilmore Girls. Gossip Girl at the time was also quite popular. I'm trying to remember. I liked West Wing as well. Oh, yeah. There was something that appealed to me about the conversation, the dialogue, how they spoke to each other. Yes. And that was the thing where I just said, we need these killer one-liners. Like, people have to be able to quote. Like, we have to give people an opportunity to quote
quotable
something.
Quotes.
Exactly.
That's what we're about here. Anyway, yeah. There you are.
So that made it very, very appealing. So we then were able to...
You brought up West Wing, and I've remembered there's somebody you know that I know, and she would spend hours watching West Wing. I know she's listening.
And we say a special hello to her. She's my bestie.
I will tell her that. She's probably listening anyways.
Indeed. So it was finding something that would be visually appealing in the sense that we knew we could find, you know, Uganda is full of beautiful, gorgeous girls and guys. I'm sure we'd find that. But we also needed to make sure that we got the right talent. And we knew it was going to be a challenge. when we were still building this concept and when we were trying to see how can we execute it, how are we going to execute it to get it to this level, how do we get from point A to point B? Want the quality of Gossip Girl, but we're still here. So how do we get it to the next point? At the time, I was, once again, I'm an avid researcher and an avid reader. So at the time, YouTube had started these, there were tutorials, and there was a gentleman called Chuck Peters, and he was a renowned kids television producer and director and DOP. And you know, at the end of every tutorial, he was one of those, the first tutorial guys. He would just be like, this is how you shoot outdoors, and this is how you can shoot this and shoot these different scenes. And at the end of every episode, he would say, so get in touch with me. This is my email address. You know, send me an email. Let me know if you have any questions. I said, why not? I will send the young man an email.
It's just the price of an email.
You know,
really.
I just said, I'll try my luck. And I sent Chuck Peters an email, come up with a solution. What I liked about him as a boss and why I respect him till this day, he never used his authority as a way to get his way. There are times when he would lose the argument and would accept it if his idea was wrong or if it didn't fly with everyone. And I learned a lot about leadership with grace in that regard from him. So with Chuck Peters writing to me, and he shared Robert, when I tell you he shared everything, there was no Asana or I don't know what's Trello, all those production management apps. They were not there. I was trying to figure out how do I manage budget and timelines, right? Because one affects the other. If we spend all the money, it's going to affect the timelines because we're not going to hit our episode target. And if I end up delaying on filming the episodes, it's going to affect the budget. So how do I find a formula that helps me keep an eye on everything from each stage of production? And Chuck Peters shared his work plan, his schedule, he shared his call sheets, he shared everything. And then on top of that, which was the most important thing, was putting together a good team. I realized we needed to bring people on board who are more knowledgeable in terms of script writing, because I know what makes a good story, but at the time I couldn't write a script, a drama script. I was like, I have absolutely no idea. I have no idea how to write the script, but I'll know it when I see it and when I read it. So we brought in people like Konsodin Buzabo, Kwesi Kaganda, Kathy Bagaya, Daphne Ampure, Frank Bisase. There was Brian. I hope I'm not going to forget anyone. There are so many people. There was Elma.
And here I was looking at you, green with envy. So those guys are killing it, man. And here I am, just.
No, but it was the beauty of having a good team and getting people who you give the freedom. Just tell them, and that's the thing when it comes to creating stories. Idea, and it can be like, for example, what you're doing now, and you can say, I want to take 360 to the international stage. I want it to be as big as TED Talks, and I want it to be this. Now, if the thought occurs to you, no one has said it.
Why are you putting ideas in my head?
I should put them in your head. So when the thought occurs to you that, hey, how will I shoot that? Do I have the time? But where will we be shooting? And how will we get people? You start putting roadblocks, and before you know it, you drop the idea. You'll be like, nah, I think we'll keep it the way it is. When it comes to creating ideas, knock yourself out. Dream as big and as crazy and unreasonable as it is, then you can work backwards and see what's possible and what's not. You'll be like, okay, I think we can do this. And find other people who can help you contribute to building that dream, which is what we did with Hostel. We brought in people, we were listening to feedback from our audience.
Did it help that there were no established ways of doing things and structure, and that it allowed people to just...
Yes. I think the fact that it was a new company and a new thing we were doing, it was just like, knock yourselves out. And I'll keep referencing Conrad here when it came to finding solutions, and we actually figured out the formula to film an episode a day. And it took us a whole season to do that, close to 6 months to figure that out. In fact, I think the first season took us 8 months to film. And it was through consultation with the team, from the technical crew to the cast, like everybody was involved. Admin, come sit down in a meeting and let's talk this out. Everyone was on equal grounds. No one was higher than the other when it came to this brainstorming stage. And he would just keep asking the question, why? We can't do this now. Why? Because of blah, blah, blah. Why? And say, I'm going to ask you down with Cindy and asking her, you know, because we were challenged at one point from some people, you know, in the industry saying, you know, you have this platform, what are you using it for? Are you just going to stick to comedy and slapstick comedy? Is that all you're going to do? I'm like, oh, I mean, we're here to entertain. It's meant to be lighthearted. We're not doing anything too heavy, but there's enough drama. But we were asked challenge, and I remember thinking about it and saying, okay, challenge accepted. Can we still make this an entertaining show while tackling the real issues? We actually had actual customer feedback. I remember we got a survey from, forget who the guys were at the time in charge of surveys, Synovate,
yes. Stedman,
yes.
Whatever
they
kept changing names.
Yes. Had them do a survey. We got feedback from the audience. There's a time even when we had a call-in, had people come to Hotel Africana. The age group that we were targeting, 18 to 25, had them come in. We had a questionnaire for them. We were asking them, what do you want to see? And they said, we love what we're seeing, but we would like it if you guys could actually tackle more issues. You know, we're dealing with issues to do with depression, anxiety, suicide, you know, things to do with, you know, pregnancy scares are there and everything, but that's not one of the biggest challenges that we face. Could you talk about those issues? And we tackled them in season 2. And I remember the feedback, my goodness, social media. I would be in church on my phone because I was handling the page with my grandmother during random mass, and I'm there refreshing the page, like, what was saying what? Okay, and then I have to respond very quickly. Because at the time, because it was the show, you know, anything that happened around it was news.
Yes.
So I remember just thinking, oh my gosh, and I was talking to Cindy, and I was just like, I can't understand it. People say they don't like the dark stuff, like we're gone too dark. Like, why is that the case? And I remember she explained to me and said, you have to think about our history as Ugandans and what we've been through.
Wow.
Right? We would rather laugh than cry.
Correct.
So do not remind us.
Correct.
People go to the movies to forget about their problems. They go to plays to laugh. No one comes to cry.
Yes. The only thing guys comment about my show is that I laugh too much. Right.
Someone said that. There was someone who said I smile too much. So he said, between you and Robert, there'll be one who's laughing too much and one who's smiling too much, and it will be the perfect match.
We might as well have fun. Yeah.
So those are things. When Cindy told me that and explained it to me, that, you know, you have to think about your audience and what they've been through and what appeals to them.
You don't want to traumatize them
exactly.
anymore.
And if you can understand that, you can find a way to deliver messages without being too preachy or without getting too serious.
So you talked about delivery. So I'll go back. So in making this visual storytelling, what are the building blocks? Is it the personalities? Is it the delivery? Is it the language? Is it I find that sometimes people get obsessed with too much of the visuals, the graphics, the this, the that, and then you look for the substance. And so what is it that package? What composition? What does it have in there? What's in there?
Well, I think the people who would be best to tell you that would be scriptwriters like Kathy Bagay and Kwesi Kakanda. But I'll try and answer. But I don't embarrass you.
Well, no, you delivered the package.
Yes.
So
what makes it okay? It involves a number of factors. Your characters have to be compelling enough. They don't have to be likable. Okay. Right?
In fact, they can even be nasty.
They can be nasty. And sometimes the villains are the best characters because they really do things as they please. Yeah. And it's always lovely to unpack that about people, like what brought this person to this stage. Yes. One of the things that I knew was the most important thing when it came, and these are things that I learned, and that's the beauty about being in this industry, is that you're a forever student. One of the things that I learned is that it's very important to, especially if you're doing drama or fiction stories, to build your character Bibles, right? So your character Bibles are basically your biography of your characters, how their relationships with the different characters they'll be interacting with. Some we'll see, some we won't see. And then, you know, skeletons in their closet, you know, do they have any secrets that they have to deal with? Because it helps the writer, if it's not the person who created the character, at least when the writer comes in and they look at the character Bible, they know who they're dealing with. They're like, oh, this is how this character behaves and speaks, and, you know, we'll put everything about their character traits. So character Bibles are very important, building that. The next thing would be how the story is woven and told. That depending on how it is, when the audience sits down to watch it, if you have people who are very intrigued by it, they'll start asking those questions. But how did this happen? Explain to me how this happened. And if you can weave the story well enough that they can see it, that would be fantastic. And I agree with you when it comes to substance. Sometimes we were lacking. But what I love is that right now, when you see the scripts and the stories that are coming out of Ugandan filmmakers right now, brilliant stuff. People are writing, you know, psychological thrillers. They're doing beautiful love stories. So there's weaving a really compelling story in that regard, that you create those characters who are compelling enough. And then there is having the right cast.
Okay.
Casting is extremely important.
Yeah.
Getting the right people. Now, some people might not look like the way you envisioned. You might have said, oh, my character is supposed to look like X, Y, and Z. But if you have someone during auditions performing so well that everyone can see that they're the character, take them on. Just switch it up a bit and say, okay, fine, I can do away with that because I actually want this person to be that.
Play,
And investing in your actors in the sense that you train them, you let them have enough time for rehearsal, which is extremely important.
Okay.
Don't wait until someone's appeared on the set, give them a script and say, okay, you have 30 minutes and then we're going to shoot.
No.
Right? Give them enough time to absorb the character and get to know their characters.
Yeah.
And of course, getting a crew and a director who's a fantastic leader. The crew normally follows the direction of the director. If the director sets the tone. If the director is someone who's very erratic and, a bit cuckoos, it's going to affect the rest of the team that he's leading or she's leading. If a director happens to be calm, level-headed, knows how to break up tension, knows how to get actors to loosen up, to understand them, even the crew, it will help tremendously.
And even dealing with the egos.
Exactly.
Television sets have egos.
Yep.
Way.
Yep.
So, I just gonna take you in a completely different direction. So, early last year, I read a book that has completely rattled me. I am yet to find a book like that, and if you haven't found it, I suggest that you go and read it.
Okay.
So there is a Chinese guy, Chinese in the sense that, he was born in Taiwan. He's now a businessman and he's a venture capitalist in mainland China, went to school in the United States. He's called Kai-Fu Lee.
Kai-Fu Lee.
Yes. So he wrote a book about artificial intelligence. And I think he's the one who said, now I'm not sure, but I think he's the one who said that whoever wins the 5G technology race will rule the world in 2100. But in that book, he describes how China has taken the leadership in technology, innovation, and the strides they've made. And everybody looks at them today and thinks it's about the gadgets and things they've set up. But actually, he traces it back to, I think, about 2 or 3 universities in Beijing. And there was a whole generation of ambitious people who wanted to be engineers. And what they would do is, the university, everybody had to go to bed by 11 and they had to switch off the lights. The guys wanting to be like these engineers would go and sit under the street lights and read and study from under the street lights. Yeah. That's the generation. Those are the Jack Ma's, the guys who've come up and exploded. But the thing, so it's called AI Superpowers, China, Silicon Valley by Kai-Fu Lee. Guys, I suggest you go and read that guy's book. By the way, I tweeted about it. I was talking to my friends and saying, you guys should read this guy's book. And he replied.
See? The gift of just actually tagging people.
So I'm like, Kai-Fu Lee, can you come to Uganda? He said, yeah, but right now I'm booked, but I'll try and come in October. And guess what?
COVID.
Yeah.
He can still make it. If he's vaccinated, he'll be good.
No, we can even have him on the screen. Maybe I should reach out to him again.
Please, make
on 360 Mentor. Yes,
thank you.
Okay.
Your ideas are being unleashed here.
I'm going to look for him again. So, but the thing he describes in that book, what the world is going to look like in 20 years from now, the things that are happening in technology. Yeah. And that's the thing that I want to pursue with you. Because I think that a powerful opportunity is coming up in terms of visual storytelling. Yeah. So there is the opportunity of technology. COVID has changed the way we live. Yep. But ever and ever more increasingly, people are interested in the visual storytelling. That's why you have all the TikToks,
Instagrams and stories and reels and all of that jazz.
Exactly. So my people who are listening on
your tweets.
Space, yes, and the guys on Zoom and the guys on YouTube, everybody wants to become a YouTuber. You are experienced in this. You know, yeah, you are. I mean, how would you advise anybody listening? Say, look, guys, these are the things you do. These are the things you don't do.
Yeah.
But also help us. Maybe before you even do that, just describe it from your point of view. What kind of opportunity is there? Am I wrong? Am I overstating this?
You're not overstating it. I think there's a tremendous opportunity right now that the online space opens up to everybody. There are no more gatekeepers. The gatekeepers have been eliminated. So
you know what I used to tell guys at my former workplace, I used to say, the 4 o'clock meeting died. You know, one of the most powerful meetings was the 4 o'clock meeting in a newsroom. That's where the decisions were made, what Ugandans should know and what they shouldn't know.
yes.
Now technology, the guys at 4 p.m. I mean, the story breaks now.
Yes, immediately before you have the chance, and it moves so fast.
Yeah.
But I would say there's such a tremendous opportunity, and I'm so thrilled when I think about it. And I think we saw this coming maybe 10 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, we saw it coming 10 years ago. But it was trust me, anyone who was in the media space saw this coming.
I remember the conversation we had in my office.
Yes.
You'd just come back from Mogadishu.
Yes, Mogadishu.
Hey God, I wish I had pursued that. Anyway, here we are.
It's never too late.
Exactly.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
So I think we could see it coming, but we were looking at internet as the hugest hurdle to jump. People had ideas for video on demand platforms. They had ideas for putting content online.
Yeah.
But in Uganda specifically, it was how do we deal with this monster called the internet data charge? Like it's a bit insane.
Yeah.
Anyone who were thinking of looking at, they'll first ask, how heavy is this video that I have to look at? How many MBs is it going to take? Is it going to take up too much data?
Yeah.
People first find out, let me read the commentary before
Yes.
I actually open it up.
Yep.
So right now what I see is such a tremendous opportunity for everyone. I don't care if you are 50 years old, thinking about retiring, and you love to...
What do you have against me? All those things refer to me. I am over 50, I am retired. Okay, fine.
You're somewhat retired.
Okay.
We know you're working. At work. This is work right now.
No, but what you're describing is the opportunity,
Yeah.
even for someone like me.
For everyone. It's one of the things where now it's almost like the wild west. Like it's like the gold rush. Everyone has an opportunity.
Yes.
But the goal that you're looking for is the value, right? You have to give people content of value.
I warned you about dropping these profound statements. Tell me that I'm about to say something profound.
sorry, son.
Okay. So you're saying the gold is in the value.
It's in the value that you're going to give your audience.
And what is this value that you see that audiences would be interested in?
I would say people are always looking for compelling stories. I'll tell you what I was doing the other day on YouTube. So I come across a woman who has a channel. She has probably over 1 million subscribers. Her content is her feeding wild chipmunks. She's in a forest area in a cabin in Canada, and you don't even see her face. We're only seeing her hands, and she's feeding a chipmunk. And she's learned how to identify them. Her channel's probably been on for about 3 years. 1 million subscribers. There's another channel that I don't know how I wandered. Oh, I do know how I wandered onto it. This is where the researcher in me comes. I always go down the rabbit hole because I'm following like, where is this leading to?
Yes.
So in my Namagunga Old Girls Chat group, hi to my Namagunga girls.
Oh, you're one of those. Okay, okay.
I'm one of those. So we were chatting, and I think someone asked the question that, does the liver regenerate? Like, how does that happen? Like, what other organs regenerate? And I remember I saw that question. I was like, curious. Okay. Then I found something, and I don't know how it happened. I found something on YouTube called the Institute of the Human Anatomy.
Wow.
And these are guys who are basically showing you what happens. And it's interesting topics. This is how alcohol affects you. And they're actually cutting up bodies, but you can't see like bodies as such. I know it sounds gruesome, but it's not, I promise. But they're talking about it in such an engaging way and showing you, what the liver looks like. This is how huge it is and how it stretches across your stomach. So when you drink, this is what happens. Alcohol gets absorbed into that mucus. And I was just like, what? It does what? Then after that, it goes here, and then it does this, then it goes to this, and it affects your inhibitions are lowered, and all these fascinating things are being done in a 5-minute talk by a guy who teaches at this institute. And he's just talking to a camera. So what I'm getting at is, find your niche. Whatever it is that you're thinking about, that you might think, I doubt people would be interested in this. Trust me, there's an audience. By the time we're following chipmunks, honestly, I think it's possible.
There's a guy I follow regularly. He has a channel on YouTube. It's called Luxury Travel.
Nice.
You know what he does? He just goes with a camcorder or whatever. We used to call them camcorders. I don't know if they're that anymore. And he films a luxury hotel. He doesn't talk. He doesn't talk. He just films, edits, puts some sound. He's got a soundtrack.
Yeah, and captions.
Occasionally, captions. He would say, this is where I slept. This is this place. Let's first get an overview.
Yeah.
It's 45 minutes.
Yeah.
But I am glued.
Yeah.
He lets me travel and tour the hotel and see the things that... So even if I don't go to Mykonos in Greece...
You've experienced it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then the next time he takes me to Vietnam. So even if I never go there... So the thing that... And you've talked about that side, the content side. I've seen businesses now struggling to get... You're laughing! Okay,
sorry.
you talk about it. Because I think...
The beauty about the people behind the camera, Apt Media, we know these things.
These guys,
these are my people. They know that
these are our peeps,
struggle. I would say just maybe about 5 years back, getting people and companies especially to put content online was a struggle. Because everyone said, we have TV, we have newspaper, we have radio. We don't need to go online. There's no solid evidence that it's going to help us.
Yeah.
And I remember having conversations, countless conversations with people as recently as 2019 saying you have to get your content online.
Yeah.
There is no way around it. Uganda is not your only audience.
Yes.
You have a market out there that is curious and might want to know as an investor, what exactly can I find in this country? Because the news that they get from the other side could be war, disease, the usual, narrative that they always hear about Africa. And to show them that, guess what, there are opportunities for you to come and invest in IT here. Opportunities for you to come and invest in our shea butter production because we happen to have, I think, one of the best quality shea butter trees. There's an opportunity for you to come and invest in agriculture. As far as tourism is concerned, this is a country that is filled with so much treasure. You have your fill when it comes to tourism. And for most of them, they said, nah, I don't think so. I think we'll pass. We have our marketing team.
Yeah.
The beauty about COVID, as sad as it was, the minute we went on lockdown, and all we had was our screens, and that was the only form of communication. Suddenly, people were being forced to talk about their business.
First, leave the businesses. There are people I know who are binging on something called the heist.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, just they're in the same house. One is there, and they're no, you ahead of me. Wait, please turn down your volume.
Yes.
That's how people live life.
Yeah, that's how people live life. And a lot of channels actually...
By the way, let me also tell you something surprising. So that's what drove me for the second lockdown to start the mentoring sessions.
Yeah.
First one we did over the 42 days. You know how many people it reached? 14 million.
What? This isn't me acting. I'm genuinely surprised.
14. So Ruth did the numbers.
Yes.
Ruth Amy, she ran the numbers. She showed them to me. She said, look, this is massive.
Yeah.
So the online culture is beginning to take root.
And it's one of the things where I want to encourage everyone that, for most of us, yes, we have jobs where we have to work because we have bills to pay and it's, you have families to take care of. But the beauty about being a human being is that we're all born creative.
Yes.
That's the truth.
Yes.
Some people might say, no, it's not me, I'm not creative, but you are creative. I would challenge you any day. I just need to meet you and I'll tell you how creative you are.
Yeah.
But when it comes to creativity and what you can do, you now have your phone. When I say there are no more gatekeepers, you have an email account, right?
Yes.
Go and set up your YouTube channel, right?
Yes.
Go set up your TikTok channel, go set up Instagram, whatever it is, and go out and shoot. Just try it out. There is a fear of looking...
I mean, I'll tell you,
Right, let me reel it back in.
No, I mean, you say that, and for me, the person who immediately comes to mind who is a case study, and I hope that all these great university minds can go, who are teaching mass comm and the stuff that we're talking about, can go and study. And fantastic case study. I know this is going to shock you. Bad Black.
No, that doesn't shock me. You know what appeals to people about Bad Black? She's the most authentic person that you ever come across. Bad Black is living her life.
No pretenses.
And there's so many of us who wish we could do that. That's why she has such a huge following, and that's why she appeals to people.
Yes.
So that's if you can recognize that in her,
Yes.
it goes to show that that's the same thing you need to do when it comes to presenting your content.
Exactly.
You have to be authentic.
Yes.
Don't try, like for example, if I try to come here and be like you, and be like, oh, you know, I have to be very intellectual, I have to have my books ready, and I have to, you know, then I have to speak like this, and I must sit upright, and you know, all of that wouldn't be me.
Yes, it's
But
very
then,
wooden
it's,
stuff.
Exactly. So no, it's not wooden, but it's you. You carry it off very well because you're you.
Yes.
And then I, on the other hand, I'm very expressive when I talk. I
Yes.
can't help it. It's just who I am. I have to even remind myself sometimes, keep your hands down here, because I do this a lot. So I have to remind myself, keep your hands down here, talk a little slower.
Then you're not being authentic.
No,
so.
I do it so that people can understand me, because if I speak too fast, it might get lost.
Yeah.
So when it comes to you saying things like that about Bad Black, and why I'm not surprised, right from the very beginning, she was authentic. She has not changed who she is from day one. Yeah, that's why her appeal to everybody is just like everyone admires her because of that.
She's authentic, and then her delivery.
Yeah.
Hey, she can, that woman is just something else. She, the other day, I think I remember what I was searching for, and I ran on one of her reels, and she was telling people, you have 1,000 followers, and you want to come onto onto Snapchat and make, I mean, I don't have time for you. I mean, that's who she is.
Yes, and that's the fantastic thing about her.
So let me just, I think we need to take a couple of, because me and you, we can talk the whole night.
That's true.
Yeah, so let's take some questions, and the guys on the spaces, you know what to do, so I'm waiting for you to click. And let me start with the guys on Zoom. So Shanice Smart, quality. Well, actually I missed out on her point about mentorship, choosing someone to mentor you. I need some more clarity over this. Thank you.
Okay. So
That was a profound statement, because I also have a lot of people who
want to be mentored.
yes, and they're always asking me, can you be my mentor? And I ask them, what's a mentor?
Yeah. I think it's also very interesting when we talk about mentorship. I'm part of a business network group, Business Network International, BNI, Executive A.
Oh yeah, I've seen BNI. I was wondering what that was, yeah.
So we talk about mentorship and the importance of mentorship and what that means, and the relationship. And between the mentor and the mentee, there's a responsibility more towards the side of the mentee.
Yes.
A mentor is not someone who's going to come and tell you what to do.
No.
Your mentor can be your guide, your mentor can be your soundboard, and your mentor has a life of their own.
Yes.
You know, sometimes we're just thinking, well, my mentor hasn't got in touch with me, so, you know, he or she's not doing her job. You know, I asked them to mentor me and they didn't think about it. What I did was that I admired, there were people whom I looked to. I didn't look necessarily to someone's name, like, you know, this person so-and-so. When I speak about Charlene and how she became my mentor, and even before that, Jackie Senyondo, when we were at WBS and also at NTV, was, for example, someone like Jackie. Jackie is one of the most gifted in this country that has ever been produced, and if you can find her and get her on your show, that would be fantastic.
Where is she?
Jackie retired and is living her best life right now, but I hope we can get her back into the production world.
Is she on a farm or something?
Jackie's living her best life right now.
Wow.
But I remember she was fantastic in terms of what made a producer, what made an editor, the SOPs that we had to follow as editors, graphic designers. You know, she was very gifted with that. And I remember it would frustrate some people who were just like, I just want to go out into the field and shoot. I just want to go out and into the edit suite and bring my tapes in. At the time, we were using tapes, yes?
Yes.
There
are people who don't know what tapes are.
Yeah, we were using tapes, the Betacam tapes that was
Betacam.
as my head, it was crazy. But anyway, you people don't know how good you have it. Now you can just use like a teeny tiny SD card and you're
They even use the same cameras that we used to take for photographs. We had different cameras for photographs and for film.
And for film.
Yeah.
So what I did in terms of mentorship is to look at someone whom I admired.
Yeah.
What was it about them that I admired? In Jackie's case, I love the fact that she was a mom, you know, young mom at the time, wife, head of department, and she was still able to run that department so flawlessly without losing her mind and make sure that everything was running on time. And when it came to structure, she was someone whom I followed.
Yeah.
With Charlene, should we go to
No, carry on.
With Charlene, it was the same thing in terms of how a department is run, how an entire company is run, TV, how does that run and how does that operate, and insisting on a standard of quality. That lady would give me almost heartburn sometimes when she'd be sitting down, going over my edits. I'll be waiting for her to just say, why was that jump cut there? What's the point of that shot? And I'll be like, oh my gosh, it was so beautiful. Did you see the sunset? And she'd be like, what was the relevance?
Exactly.
It's been on screen for about 30 seconds. Take it off. There's no point. Remove it or cut it down. So you need to find people who there is something about them that you admire.
Yeah.
And then from there, if you ask to mentor them, to be mentored by them, just prepare yourself. Have your questions ready. Be willing to take notes because it's extremely important. Don't waste their time.
I have one of my mentors, and I don't think he was even aware that he was
your mentor.
that he was mentoring me, but I worked very closely with him, and I used to blow up a lot, you know, because I am very impatient sometimes. It's blow up. So one day we had this meeting that ended at like 2 a.m. in the night, and then everybody left, and then we sat there, you know, having a conversation and discussing. And then he told me something I've never forgotten. He said, leadership is like a sewer.
Okay.
Yes.
Where is this going? Okay.
And I'm like, okay. He said, you have to prepare to take so much rubbish.
Facts.
Exactly. But, and that day, I learned a powerful lesson. And then that's also the day I realized that this is not just somebody I am working with, this is somebody I am learning from.
Yeah.
And then I learned that, you know, mentorship, you don't even have to meet the person physically.
True.
A mentor can even be just somebody you read.
Yep.
Or somebody you watch on the screen, how they carry themselves, what they do, as long as you value the things that they stand for and the things that they do.
Yeah.
Somebody called Aggie Akwamoa, who is completely, she says she's your, I'm assuming it's a she.
It is a she, and I know Aggie. Hi,
yeah,
Aggie.
Aggie says it is my friend. Anyway, so she's asking, how can we use the internet and film to offer quality, hopefully free, fast-track education to our children who've been locked down for so many months? Those from low-earning families.
There is a beauty with the, and thank you for that question, Aggie. That's you're really throwing the deep ones at me right now.
This our forum is not for.
It's not for small.
No. We're on the serious stuff.
It is all right.
Yeah.
When it comes to one of the things that I loved about growing up in Uganda, and what we were able to watch on TV, were the children's shows that would come on. You know, the Tiger, the Bear, and Other Stories. We had those weird Russian puppet shows that would come on where we'd learn about other cultures. And I think UTV played such a huge role in our childhoods, especially when it came to learning about what was going on in the news, around the country, about culture. I remember there was Introduction to the Animal World or something like that.
Yes.
That was amazing. I loved that show. It was so fascinating. And I think it's time for us to actually reinvest in our state-owned broadcast, because it's an assumption to assume that everyone has access to internet.
You know what? First of all, for me, the thing that was very frustrating was that we made a decision to close down analog television just to accommodate telecoms, and because people had to comply with something that had been decided in Geneva, and we killed access to television. I had that argument. It was the most frustrating time of my career. And now you say we're going to teach kids on TV, but how many people have set-top boxes? I mean, you've already limited the audience. If TV was free to air like it used to be, now content would just be the thing we create.
Yeah.
But you say the thing about Animal World and all those things, maybe the classroom setting is not suited for delivering instruction on the screen, on television or radio. Are there ways we can creatively come up with content that can be used for learning purposes without it being a classroom setting where there is a guy pretending to be writing on a whiteboard?
Definitely. I think I have a friend, Dr. Moline, who's based in the Netherlands, who's actually set up her own YouTube channel, has written a book about African folk tales, and is doing tremendous work trying to make sure that children who are growing up in the diaspora learn about their culture and about different cultures. So there are different ways we can teach children if we take them out of the classroom. You know, if you're talking about, biology and all these things, actually let them explore their own neighborhood. Like, what are the popular, creatures that you see? Maybe it's tree frogs, maybe it's chameleons. I remember us doing this as kids. We'd go looking for chameleons and feed them flies to see how their tongues would shoot out and grab the fly. And I think there's a lot that we can do. I mean, this is something I'd have to really think about. How else could we do it? But we could definitely get it out of the classroom. I think we need to, radio is still a very powerful tool.
Oh, yeah.
Radio is still a very powerful
I'm a child of radio.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved radio while growing up. I think I learned most of my politics and current affairs by just listening to, I'll just keep switching. VOA, BBC. I even used to listen to something called Radio South Africa. That was during apartheid times. Don't worry, I'm not a sellout.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but that's one way we could use radio very effectively to reach the low-income children and families, to make sure that this education could get to them. I know that there are ways that have happened in the past, in my past. When I was working in Mogadishu, it's something that we did where we were putting out the messaging about, you know, getting more women into politics, and how could we go about that in a way that was respectful and very, you know, that we weren't tone deaf.
And featured in their culture.
Yes, and we did that through a drama series.
Okay, so I'm going to, I promised you a conversation where we shall, because I see a business opportunity there. Jackie Namara, who we both know very well.
Hi, Jackie.
What makes for a good story? The kind that gives you goosebumps.
Oh gosh, there are so many. Okay, let me see if I hope I can answer this question, because Jackie is one of those fiercely intelligent ladies.
Oh yeah.
Throwing answers at
No,
her.
you must think through.
You must think through and give her something good. The kind that gives me goosebumps would be the one that completely reels me in. Yeah. Like I almost seem to have tunnel vision and I can't see anything else, but I'm focused on the person telling the story or whatever I'm reading. Yeah. And there was something interesting that Daniel said when he was on your show. That was, and when I heard it, I was like, I know exactly what you're talking about. When he said that you can read a book and the line is so good that you're just like, pause, put it aside, I don't want to finish this book right now.
Yes, you know, you reach like the last, let me serve this chapter.
Just like, you know what, let me leave that for tomorrow.
Yeah.
So for me, it's something that completely reels me into the point that I am taken there in my imagination. One of the things that I appreciate about my childhood, when UEB would do its beautiful thing of power cuts, that would freak me out because the house would be complete, it's total darkness everywhere. And my brothers would take, my dear brothers, anyway, were so thrilled at scaring the living daylights out of me. As recently as 2 days ago, my brother did that to me, just go, why are we still doing this?
We're now adults, you know?
Stop trying to scare me.
Yes.
That's for you, Chris. Putting your name out there. So I remember when it would go dark, my brothers, and especially Paul, was so gifted at this. He would tell stories. And you know, when we put on the lanterns and the candles and the shadows on the wall, would make little animal puppets, and you know, he's telling us these stories. And he's a very gifted storyteller. And
I honestly can't believe it. I've never gotten a word out of Paul.
Yeah, you have. You're going to kill me after this. But it was a way to spark off our imagination. And I remember because of that, I was able to go into my mind and imagine the story. So when someone's telling me a good story, and even if they just give me a lead, I'll never forget the time when I was someone who'd have conversations with people and they'll get worried. Yeah. Like I could say something like, imagine that we're standing here and the ground cracks open and we just fall straight into a boiling lava. And people look at me like, why would you say that?
Morbid, hideous.
Yeah, like, why would you say that? Like, are you okay? Do we need to call somebody? Yes. And I remember when I found my tribe at Fast Track, it was the most beautiful feeling in the world because we were standing at the balcony. It was myself, Frank Bisase, Kathy Bagaya. I think Daphne was with us at that time. And we're standing on the balcony. And then it started. And I just went, imagine if the ground cracked up right now. And the building started to crack. And then we fall off. And then Frank jumped in and said, yeah. And then we're hanging by the iron railing. And then something just pokes right through your arm and you're grabbing on for dear life.
Talk about wild imagination.
Yeah, so it was wonderful to meet those. And I'm getting goosebumps right now.
Okay.
But it was something, that's how I know it's a good story, when I get really excited about it and I can see it in a different way.
You know, I just, you know, before we take on the other questions, I just wanted to bring up something to you. I think when I talked about businesses, I think businesses, in terms of trying to put out their message, I think they need to talk less about themselves and their brands. Okay, so I'm correct.
On the money.
And tell a story.
Yes.
So two ads that have really captured me. One is from a very long time ago. It was the launch of an airline called Alliance Air. And I remember we were sitting in the conference center during the launch and they played that ad. And there was a standing ovation for the ad. People stood up and clapped. It was very well produced. The story was compelling. Said nothing about the brand until the end, when he talked about working together in an alliance. The second one, strangely, by the way, both of them are from airlines. Did you see the recent one of Emirates? Where
the woman on the building, on top of the tallest building? Yep.
Which then takes me to the Super Bowl in the US, where...
The adverts are just amazing, yeah.
Is there an opportunity for us to get to that level?
I think there is, if brands can start investing in telling stories. I think right now it's also very important to realize that your audience is pretty intelligent, right? And they catch on when something is being pushed down their throats.
Yes.
And once that happens, right now it's not even the thing that we're stuck with the, the few TV stations where we have to watch the advert. Now it's scrolling. It's just like 3 seconds, shoop, swipe, on to the next one. So right now you have probably a few seconds to capture people's attention. So you have to start thinking about your story. Don't make it about you.
Which takes me to the thing, if I'd forgotten this, I'd have kicked myself. I also feel, again after reading Kai Fu Lee's book, that consumption of the visual stories, you see, when we were growing up, when we talked about that one TV, watching the TV was like a family, it was like a family affair. You all came and you knew that 9 o'clock was dad's time to watch the news, so you didn't interfere with it. And then you sort of, after dinner, you all came together and watched. My mom was obsessed with wrestling.
WWE was the best. What was his name? The Undertaker.
Yes, the Undertaker. Then there was Kamara, the Ugandan. So we came together at that time as a family. So TV was pretty much a social affair.
Yes.
I get the sense that consumption of the visual story
is my target audience.
Okay, so I've got a problem here. My space is just went off.
Already, goodness, time has flown by.
Yeah. You see, when you're having a good conversation, time flies by.
I didn't even get to show my books.
Oh no, you will. You will. So I'm back on, guys. I know it's a Friday night, and you all want to go to your homes, or you're already on the way home. Okay, let me just do this with Solea. Okay, done. Right. Okay, let's see if it hooks up. But I shouldn't be having problem. Or have I run out of data? I suspect I may have run. Yeah, it happens. I have a new life now. So
this is the story that we have. No matter what happens, there will always be a good story that comes out of this thing.
I know. Oh, guys on YouTube, and don't worry, it's part of the fixing. This is what makes this show interesting. So, which one? Simba or Airtel? Okay, let's see if that works. Boom. So, but we shall get this technology sorted. The key issue for me is what content do we have? That for me has always been the issue. So hopefully this can get back on shortly, because it ended without me realizing it. So maybe it will come back on. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, let's continue with the guys on Zoom and YouTube and see what happens. Okay. Yeah. So again, to the the changes in consumption and people individualizing their experiences, sharing videos, groups. What does that mean for the people dealing with content? Because now people don't sit and
watch. Yeah. I mean, I think it means that there are more opportunities to challenge ourselves creatively, to have these out-of-the-box ideas. And I know when it comes to creativity, sometimes we think that, I'm all tapped out. But one of the things that I use as my one of the tips I could share is when it comes to creativity and trying to come up with ideas to give to people, some content to offer them, challenge yourself by doing things out of your normal and ordinary.
Yeah.
For example, I was telling you how, my brothers forced me to watch Formula One and World War II movies, and I found myself having to understand what the fascination was around it, and realizing that these are history buffs. Reading autobiographies by people like Warren Buffett, and just being, it's a thick one, Snowball. I haven't even
I've read Snowball.
Past a few pages.
I read it on a flight.
Yeah, and just trying to show off here, the intellectual.
Yeah.
But just trying to step out to say, how else could I tell different stories? And trust me that there are people who are actually, who might not be online or who aren't that well known, but who are in the industry of creating content and are coming up with fantastic work.
Yes.
I think you'll be amazed even when we go past, we're thinking of video, but there's the gaming industry that's now opened up as an avenue, right?
Yeah.
And I could say that for our children especially, this is their reality.
Yeah, that's their world.
So now they're playing off of their phones, off a tablet, and to you, the parent, you're just thinking, oh gosh, get off the tablet, get off the laptop, get off this. And yet this is the industry they're actually entering. The AI world, or the augmented reality world, an industry is opening up, or has already opened up, where we have, and I hope I'm going to be corrected, Minecraft, right? Yeah. Minecraft that helps them go in and actually build a world, create characters, and create a storyline. What they're doing there is, one, they're being a creative by coming up with a storyline. Then they're being a scriptwriter, then they're being a director, and then they're casting by creating all these characters. Wow. So to you, the parent who's watching it, you're just like, kids just playing games, but they're actually figuring out how to create content. And there are opportunities for them in this industry, because right now what's going to happen is someone who's about 13 years old, 15 years old can actually go out and start up their business by being a gamer or being someone who creates these stories, because this is an industry where they're actually getting paid quite a lot.
That's true.
The gaming industry, channels like Twitch, I believe, is also another place where they actually meet up to. I'm checking with my expert over there just to make sure I'm saying the right things. But these are platforms that our children are now going to be working off of, where they can actually work from home, and it can be very individualized, where there are people who don't watch films, they don't watch TV, they don't watch TikTok or anything, but they're all about games.
They're just in that world.
Yes, because they're then creating something there. And the future of...
Which means that their level of interactivity and
come together because they have this passion, a shared passion, and it all has to do with their skills and their thinking capabilities, and their eye-to-hand coordination. People, you are let's say a swim champion, so you're traveling between Mombasa, Kampala, I don't know where else, and you want to show what it's like competing. You do underwater photography, you do all of that on your phone. You can edit, put effects, put music, and post it up just from editing from that screen. So we're now seeing companies like Adobe and, let's say, Final Cut adjusting and saying, what can we do for this new generation who wants everything at their fingertips and very easy to execute? So when it comes to content, there is really a wide range of people.
Let's take Susan's question, and it will be the last. If we don't take Susan's question, the town will be too small for us.
Oh. Hi, Susan.
She's asking, what do you have to say about people no longer want to go through the process to grow in filmmaking, but want to leap and put out substandard work, even in the newsroom?
That's a tough one. But when we look at the newsroom, news is a very tricky animal, and it moves very quickly. And now everybody's a reporter.
Yeah, true.
Right? So you have the man in the street filming a riot happening immediately, and that person will post it up before you, the news station, can get there.
Do you remember the photograph? There was a photograph that did a massive set of memes about Robert Mugabe when he was in a pose as if he was skating.
Yes.
The story around that was so interesting. So when he fell down when coming down the aircraft, all his intelligence and security guys grabbed all the cameras to avoid that picture going out. By the time they drove from the airport to his home, the picture had already gone, and they were wondering, how on earth? How? What they didn't know is that one of those cameras was Wi-Fi enabled. So it was firing off the pictures to a cloud in real time.
Yes.
So there you are.
There you are. So things happen very quickly. So you can't blame the newsroom. It can be very tough. I've seen what it's like out there, and having, even when social media was what it is today, and everyone having a camera on their phone, it's very tricky. But yes, there is a need for journalists to go back to the basics, the ethics of journalism, and hopefully finding a way to, you know, could I call it the conversion time between them capturing the story and putting it out there? I don't know how that can happen for that process to be much faster. Maybe that's something that you could answer to, because you're the expert.
No, I think the challenge that I used to see is the newsroom has to capture history as it happens. You don't even have enough opportunity for facts to be verified, and because you have to flow with it. But now, as we say, news has become commoditized. Yeah. I think the opportunity for many people in the newsrooms to change is in whether they have the courage to shift mentally and do analytics and do detailed stories. Now, they're not, the courage comes because you're going to have to weave these stories. Yeah. Let me see, like, let's say, you know, the tragic story of the passing of General Okech. So the question is, if you want to make a story interesting, we all know that has happened. How many other generals have passed away like that? Yeah. What happened in their case? Then you bring in those elements. I think newsrooms are going to have to go beyond stating the facts as they've happened now. Yes. And now start telling a story. Instead of reporting news, newsrooms have to be... The problem with all our newsrooms, there are two big problems with our newsrooms. Number one, they are full of reporters, not storytellers. Yeah. Number two, there's a lot of people seeking for eyeballs rather than seeking for ears.
But they also have the pressure of delivering up to deliver that.
I think there's unrealistic pressure. I don't think that media houses. But anyway, I'm no longer there now, so let me keep quiet.
You hold your peace.
Let me ask you your last word.
Yes. Oh.
First, show me your books.
Oh yes, guys. I want to show you my books, you guys.
Show me your books and why.
Okay. Very quickly, because I brought these books just for you. Right?
Yes.
So when it comes, there are many.
Yeah.
I apologize.
No. One time I turned up for a flight and they put my bag on the, and it was 84 kilograms.
Books.
60 of them were books.
So this is the first book I have to show you. It's called Show Your Work. And for any, Show Your Work, for any creative or anyone else out there, this helped me a lot when it came to social media. Okay. How to deal with social media and what you need to put out there. It's a very good book. You should get it if you can. But yeah, he also wrote still like an artist. He's an exceptional guy, and look, there are pictures. Yeah. So it's an easy read.
And it looks like very simple.
It's a very easy read, but very useful.
Profound.
Yeah, information here. This book helped me a lot with project management, and that had to do with the hostel. It helped me a lot to just figure out how to manage people, how to manage myself. It was a very useful book, and I'd advise anyone to go through that. So you can tell books helped me a lot. Anytime I remember hearing Will Smith saying it. He said, any challenge that you faced, somebody has probably written a book about it. And you can find it. Another one, Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude.
You've definitely read that book many times, because it looks dog-eared.
This kept me sane during the drama series days. So I give a lot of credit to this book. It helped me a lot with figuring out how to go about trying out a new idea that probably not many people would be on board with. Okay. But you know, if you find your mastermind and the right group of people, it works brilliantly. What they don't teach you at Harvard Business School.
Yeah.
This was from my mother. I actually stole it from her library. Sorry,
there was, I think, a sequel to that one as well. Yeah.
So this is the older version, but once again taught me a lot about business. This is another favorite of mine, The Hollywood Commandments. It's a very good book, especially being a Christian, trying to figure out how do I move around in this world, especially when it comes to the content that we produce and the kind of content I wanted to produce, right?
Jack.
Success Principles.
2000
Latest read.
2008.
Yes, this is a brilliant book. I'd advise anybody to read this.
I can see you even have bookmarks.
Yes, it's, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
color-coded.
Now I know why you are what you are.
Then just to help me with, at the time when we started doing the drama series, we decided to make the shift from SD to HD, standard definition to high definition. And this is a book that I got just to help me understand the process, and it broke down right from script writing all the way down to distribution and marketing. So a very good book. And then just for pleasure's sake, a coloring book. It helps tremendously if you have to if you're trying to think things through, if you're trying to come up with an idea and you sort of need to walk away from it for a bit. That's what I do. So I color. And yeah, I'm proud to show my work because this took me a long time.
Wow.
But this is what, when it comes to creativity and what you can do to sort, and I know lots of people who do this, but it's something that I do in order to just keep myself sane.
Now that you do that, what you've just done, and seeing all those bookmarks and the stuff that you've done, I think the lesson I take away from you is that sometimes very successful people make their results, their end work look so simple and seem so effortless.
And yet there's quite a bit behind it.
And then the people who want to imitate it think it is so easy, they'll go and wing it. So your last word, your last piece of advice.
My last piece of advice is, if there is anything that you want to do, and I speak specifically to anyone who wants to create, whether you are a teenager who's just turned 13, or you are 40 years old, 60, and you're thinking of doing something, just do it. Don't worry too much about what they will say, and don't let what they say, don't let either their praise or their criticism determine what you're going to do, because you will stop being you, if that makes sense. So you have to do things regardless of whether people praise you or whether they criticize you.
And that's the lesson that Bad Black gives us.
Brilliant.
Thank you very much,
Thank you for having me.
Solea. Hey, this conversation.
And I'm sorry we didn't get to answer everybody's questions. I saw some pretty interesting ones there.
No, we shall. Fuji does a fantastic job of compiling them and sending them to us. So she will do that for us.
Thank you.
And then you'll get to answer them on your Twitter feed. I want to say sorry to my guys on Spaces because Spaces just went off. And that was that. So thank you very much for having coffee with me. And
do I get some coffee to take home?
Oh no, I'll arrange for you to get. I came rushing. I've got. Do you want beans or do you want ground coffee?
I want ground, please.
Okay, I'll arrange ground coffee for you tomorrow.
Great.
So thank you very much, and we will have this compiled and put up, and then I hope people can find it and watch it later on.
All right, and thank you for having me, and thank you for the good job that. Shout out to all our guys behind the scenes, Solomon, Bay and Fuji for doing all the hard work behind the scenes and making us look good.
And we have our audience of their kids.
Yes. Thanks guys for being here. And thank you to everyone who was watching.
Good.